Joining me now is Lev Parnas, former associate of Rudy Giuliani during his scheme to dig up dirt on the Bidens in Ukraine. He is the author of the book, Shadow Diplomacy, Lev Parnas' Wild Ride from Brooklyn to Donald Trump's Inner Circle, which comes out tomorrow. And Naveed Jamali, former FBI double agent and host of Newsweek's Unconventional. Thank you both for being here. I do want to start with you, Lev. Welcome to the show. I just want to walk with you through your own journey as somebody who was peddling lies like the ones Mr. Smirnov was peddling. You became a big-time donor with a guy named Igor, Lev and Igor. People will remember you guys by your first names from that scandal, in which you donated a bunch of money to a Trump super PAC, became insiders, and then talk about how you got involved with Rudy Giuliani in trying to market a very similar story to the one Mr. Smirnov was marketing to the Trump campaign.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Joy. I'm a big fan. I was watching your show from the very beginning. I mean, it was a little bit more than just donating. I built a relationship with a very big Trump lobbyist, Brian Ballard at the time, and a combination between the donations and the relationship with him, I was able to become a very big insider in Trump's inner circle. I met Giuliani in the summertime of 2018. When I say met, I really met him. I met him several times previously, but that's when we got pretty close. We started spending time every day, and I could tell that Ukraine was always on his mind. At that time, he was looking at Ukraine for the Paul Manafort stuff, the Black Ledger, and certain stuff. And then one evening, we were sitting in the Grand Havana room, and Giuliani got a call from Bart Schwartz, I think it was. It was one of his investigators at the time that was doing research on Ukraine and had some breaking information. He had a whistleblower that was basically telling him information about, Hunter Biden on the board of directors and other information about the Black Ledger. And we were sitting, me and Igor, with him, having cigars. Igor was having drinks, and Rudy got off the phone and started, like he would usually, and started talking about what, he was on the phone with us. And when he started talking, he started realizing that we knew a lot of the players. We heard a lot of the same information, and we were eager to, participate in the conversation. Within a half an hour.
So wait, let me just back you up for just 1 second. You were born in Ukraine, right? Back when it was part of the Soviet Union. You are Ukrainian. And so this whole idea, all the Black Ledger stuff, the allegation was supposed to be that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, when Joe Biden was vice president, were taking bribes to protect this company, Burisma, that Hunter Biden sat on the board of, right? Is that the same story that you were also peddling? And do you now say that that story was made up?
Absolutely. That was the same story, and I've been saying that it was made up for the past 4 years. Ever since my arrest, I've been screaming at the top of my lungs that it was made up. And not only was it made up, I've also shown the world that the people that were doing it were Russian agents that were, and Giuliani never cared. Giuliani never cared. Solomon never cared. Fox News never cared. None of them cared, as long as it fit their narrative.
Yeah.
And that was the information that was pushed.
And who fed you that story?
It was a bunch of people. Most of them had ties to Russian oligarchs or Russian agents or Russian government officials. Some of them were actual Ukrainian officials that also had ties. But at the end, it was all the same people pushing the same story that was coming from the same source, Russia.
Right. And the goal of the story was to make Biden look corrupt, so that it would negate Donald Trump's alleged ties to Russia and make it look like Biden was on the take from Ukraine. Is that correct?
Oh, that was a combination, yeah. First of all, it was that, but also Trump was so scared of losing to Biden that he thought it would be an embarrassment, that they wanted to seal it by getting Biden out of the race by showing how corrupt it was and not giving him a chance.
So let me bring you in, Naveed, because you, served as a double agent. You know how this works. Is that how it works, that a Russian operative or Russian agent gets to somebody like our friend Lev here and says, hey, this is a story I want you to push, and then it goes into the ecosystem, and then that works. But if he also has an FBI handler, and then he's telling that guy the story, that's a crime, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're right on both parts. I mean, Joy, this feels like we've been here before. It's like WikiLeaks, Carter Page, and all of that rolled into one. For people who maybe just have lived under a rock for the last 8 years, I'll say this, as I've said it before, for Russia, the Cold War never ended. The United States is Vladimir Putin's main enemy. He is seeking to undermine not just democracy. It's not about necessarily putting a thumb on the scale for Biden or Trump, although intelligence assessment says that he prefers Trump. The reality is that he wants to see a weakened United States. I mean, we talked about the death of Navalny, but the other big news that happened this week is that it was announced that Russia is trying to put a nuke into space. I mean, this is a man, unlike 2016, unlike 2020, he's at war in Ukraine, losing badly. He's desperate, and this makes him incredibly dangerous. So why wouldn't he try to interfere with the election? Why wouldn't he try to undermine Joe Biden? It just, just makes total sense with everything we've seen the last 8 years.
And with Smirnov now out, he has an Israeli passport. Can you understand why a judge would release him when he could just leave or actually be in danger? We've seen Russia target people who it sees as a threat, whether they're in Russia or not.
I don't think that he is at risk for being assassinated in the United States. I think the Russians, there are some rules that they play with. Although, again, to your point, they assassinated a defector in Spain just this week. So, insofar as why the judge did it, you'd have to ask them. It is certainly, if the DOJ is saying this guy's a flight risk, they believe he's a flight risk. And if he has other passports, again, it's just, it is crazy to your point, Joy, working with the FBI, that this person would have gotten to that point. They would have vetted him. They would have had to confirm. And it's obvious that his lies were easily disprovable, it seems, from reporting. So I have to ask the same question you're asking is, how did this come to pass?
Lev, I'm going to give you an opportunity to explain how easy is it to launder the kinds of stories that you and Rudy Giuliani and Mr. Smirnov were laundering? How easy is it to launder them to Fox or to Republican members of Congress? Are they just like, bring them to me?
Well, I mean, usually, it would be really difficult, but here you had willing participants that wanted the information, looked for it, and, dismantled information that didn't make sense. So they were eager, willing participants, and basically, Devin Nunes had Derek Harvey be my handler, doing interviews with Ukraine, and then he got up and said he didn't even know who I was, claiming my wife was calling him instead of me. These people are insane. They don't want the truth. All they want to do is, like Homer said, there's a lot of smoke, so there should be fire, but they want so much smoke where you think there's fire, but you can't see because there really is no fire. It's just a mirage. And that's all they want to do. They want to cause chaos, and they knew all along that most of the information they're talking about was nonsense. And just think about this, Joy, and Naive will confirm. I was arrested in 2019. The FBI has had all my information since 2019. I've also given in 2020 all the information to the impeachment committee, to the RNC, and the DNC. So they all had my information. They saw my communications with Zlochevsky from Burisma, where he denied, where Giuliani had me ask him, was Hunter Biden involved? Did Joe Biden receive the money? All of these same questions were Zlochevsky denied. And they knew it, and they had it. And why would it take them so long to come up? And another thing is, this is an individual that is being handled, and Naive could probably confirm to this, that is being handled by the FBI. He had meetings with Burisma supposedly in 2015, and he overheard this conversation, but he didn't report it in 2015. All of a sudden, he only reported in 2020 after my arrest and after I came public with all the stuff that they were doing. So, it's very fishy what's going on in the FBI. Even remember David Clark. When David Clark was announced as special counselor, me and my lawyer tried to reach out to him to give him information, to tell him that this information is false. He never returned our phone call. So, you take a look at what it is.
Yeah. I will read your book with interest. Lev Parnas, I appreciate you coming on the show. Naveed Jamali, always appreciate you, my friend. It is a strange thing, and I think we're going to be following this a lot more as time goes on. Lev Parnas, Naveed Jamali, thank you both. Up next on the Read